Hello, George Notchik here. Today is April 3rd, 2019. And this is just a short preliminary video to show you a test that I am currently conducting on the ice of Rainy Lake. This is a short little test to illustrate the curvature of the Earth. What basically I'm doing here is out at the end of my dock, I'm going to be mounting two columns of colored barrels. And it's going to be something like this. We're going to start off with a black barrel, then there will be a white barrel, and then a blue barrel, then another white barrel, another blue barrel, and at the very top there will be a green barrel if I manage to build this structure. And there will be two columns side by side. There will be another set in identical sequence right behind this one. And what the idea is that these are all 36 inches or 3 feet in height, each one of these. So the total structure height will be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 plus this green barrel on top. So far I have this part built, the first four barrels. It was very windy today. The wind was coming out of the northwest and it was very frustrating. This morning I went out about 9 a.m. and I put the structure together in about 45 minutes, and then a huge gust of wind came up, and before I got it guyed and tethered down, it blew everything over. And I kept trying to rebuild it, and it was very frustrating. It took me 12 tries before I got this up, and I got very tired. I mean, lifting 10 barrels, getting this high 12 times, it was 120 barrels. I was pretty tired by the end of the day. But I did manage getting the first four, and they're guyed down. There's a 2x4 behind the structure that's tied to the barrels, and then it's guyed down in the front, back, and the two sides. So the idea here is if we go out several miles out onto the ice and look back at this structure, this color sequence will tell us how much might be hidden from view. And I'm going to be going along the same test range as I used last year, which allows me to go 6 miles out towards the east. So tomorrow morning early I'm going to get up so that the morning sun, since this will be looking back west, the morning sun ought to really illuminate the barrels. By the end of the day the sun was behind me, so you really couldn't see the barrels at all, so I have to wait until tomorrow morning. So with the morning sun, we're supposed to have a fairly bright day tomorrow. Hopefully we'll still have the wind to create air mixing and minimize refractive effects. The air today was extremely pristine. It was probably some of the lowest excess refraction I've ever seen. Everything was crystal clear. The air is very dry because it's cold, and the feeling was just fantastic. No shimmer, no distortion. So hopefully tomorrow I'll have the same conditions. And here is the test range. Okay, what I have here, this is a satellite view of Sand Bay that I live on. I live right here. on the edge, the south edge of Sand Bay. This here is the Canadian border. This lake borders the U.S. and Canada. The land masses in here are all Canada. This is called Rainy Lake. This is Sand Bay, just a large bay within the lake. This lake goes 40 miles north and 40 miles to the east, but it's full of islands. It's a very picturesque lake. I have an unobstructed view for 6 miles going from my point of observation over to Home Island, which is just a mile into Canada. The Canadian-U.S. border is at about 5.5 miles out, so the last mile and a half is in Canadian waters. And what I'm going to do is stop first at 2 miles, then 3 miles, 4 miles, and out at 5.5 miles. And if it isn't too bad out in here, with all these islands, the water tends to flow and undermine the ice, so I have to be real careful in this area this time of year, so don't break through the ice. But out in here, out to 5.5 miles, I can easily drive my truck out in the bay. We have a good 30 inches of ice. The sun has burnt all the snow off the ice, so probably have a good week of traveling on the ice before it starts deteriorating and becomes a concern. So this is the perfect time of year to be traveling out on the ice with a vehicle and doing any sort of tests that you want to do. So when my barrels are sitting out in here, out at the end of the dock, and then I'm going to travel along this line, look back, take photographs. I'm going to take the theodolite and auto level and make some angle measurements, and then we'll also be making temperature and barometric pressure measurements, and then we'll travel back along the same line and stop again at the same spots on the way back. So hopefully we'll have good viewing conditions tomorrow, and this will work out. So this is just a preliminary to let you know what's going on. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments before I run the experiment. I'll probably keep it up for several days, up through the weekend, as long as things don't shift too much and the barrels don't get knocked down by the wind. I'll keep the test site up, try to keep it up for maybe a week. So if anyone has a suggestion for other tests they'd like to see, just put it in the comments and I'll look at it. So tomorrow I'll upload the video of the first observations. Well, this is what I have so far. I have 4 barrels stacked. They're each 3 foot in length, so we have a total of 12 feet right now. Tomorrow morning I'll be stacking more barrels on top. There's 2 blue ones to go on top, and then on top of the blue ones I'll put this green one that's right here, and then we'll go out on the ice at varying distances and set the camera on a tripod at various heights and see how many of the barrels can be spotted. The sun has just set. Finally, the wind calmed down. I had a really difficult time getting these barrels set up. I got up about this height 12 times, and every time I went to finish tethering the lines, a gust would come up and take the barrels down. It was very frustrating. It's very difficult to work by oneself, but as you can see, I have 4 tether lines. There's a line here, there's a line over there, there's a line there, and a line going over to this barrel that's frozen in the lake. I've parked the car for the truck for the evening down here on the ice, and they'll be ready to take off on the ice in the morning. We're looking east, and that's the direction I'll be traveling with the truck in the morning. So we'll have the morning sun shining on the barrels, so hopefully the barrels will be quite visible. Over there is Franzen Island, where you see the lighthouse. And down through that corridor, just to the left of that red blinking light, the lighthouse there, is Home Island 6 miles away. So I'll be able to go out to 6 miles to sight this barrel target. You can see the Canadian shore. This is Sand Bay on Rainy Lake. See the high tension line towers over in Canada. That's 2.5 miles across, looking north across the bay. And then we've got 6 miles to the end of the bay, going east-northeast into Canada. So tomorrow's another day, and hopefully we'll have good conditions again. Today the conditions were excellent as far as minimum refraction goes. There was no shimmer. The air is very dry. The moisture has been precipitated out by the cold weather. And there was a good breeze coming out of the northwest that blows the air on the ice down the corridor. So that's about 3 miles to the Canadian shore in the northwest. So the air has a good 3 miles blowing across the ice before it gets here. So it's pretty well mixed up and uniform in temperature. And then as it blows down the lake to the east, the optical corridor remains very stable. So hopefully we'll have similar conditions tomorrow. I was really hoping I could get it done today, but the wind just foiled my efforts in getting everything set up.